So come to a comfortable seat, whether that's crossing your legs in any way that feels good, or maybe even having your legs out to the sides or in front. Do what feels good in your body. And start to arrive, settling in. Notice your sit bones on the floor and let them ground in. And start to rise through your spine and through the crown of the head. Maybe you'll close your eyes. Take your right palm and put it over your heart, and then put your left palm over the right, pressing into the heart space. Just breathing here, noticing your breath, and noticing if maybe you can find the beating of your heart. I want to start today's practice in the way that we usually end, which is with Namaste. And in Sanskrit, that simply means I bow to you. But it's an oversimplification, really, on a more poetic way to translate that would be this: the light in me sees and honors and bows to the light in you. So I feel like what we are creating with our little yoga community is this connection, this seeing of each other. So I want to focus on that today, on this connection. So flutter your eyes open, and we'll start to move with the breath. So first, take your hands and clasp them in front of you, and then push your hands away from you. And then with your inhale, raise your arms above your head and really lengthen, straightening the arms, but also lengthening between where your hip bones are and all the way up through the shoulders, feeling that length in the ribs. And just breathing here. And then bring your hands behind your head. Let your head rest into your hands and pull your elbows out. So you're looking just barely up at the ceiling, opening your heart, shining your heart to the ceiling. Executive lounging is what this pose is called. I'd like to see what the Sanskrit word is, but I haven't found it yet. Now take your left hand down to the floor, put your fingertips on the floor, and raise that right elbow up to the sky. So opening up in the side body on the right. And with a big inhale, pull that elbow back. So you're really opening up in the right side of the heart anyway. And then with your exhale, twist, bringing your elbow towards that left hand. You won't come all the way there, but just towards it. And inhale, elbow comes back up, opening up. Exhale towards your hand. Inhaling up. Exhale towards your hand. And one last inhale here. And then straighten your right arm and reach over to the side. Nice. And then inhale your way back to center. Now change your feet so that the other foot is in front. If you're crisscrossing your legs, so the awkward leg comes in front. And then clasp your hands with the awkward thumb in front. Figure out which one that is. And then push away. Really push, 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 push. Feeling that in the shoulders. Feeling your shoulder blades pull away from each other. And then bring your arms up to the sky. Nice big inhale. And breathing here. See if you can pull your hands even just a little bit further back. And then bring your hands to cradle the back of your head. Let your head rest back into your hands. Pull your elbows back. And this time, take your right hand down to the floor and bring your left elbow up towards the sky. And then inhale, pull that elbow back, opening up in the chest. Exhale, reach towards the right hand with your elbow. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale back up and then extend your left arm, reaching and stretching over to the right. And then inhale back to center. And we'll come to hands and knees. So if you need a little extra padding, maybe put your blanket under your knees. Or if you're having any trouble with one of your knees in particular, maybe you can lift it off the floor a bit. So see what works in your body. We'll start with cat and cow. So inhale, drop your belly, look forward, raise your tail. And then exhale, round the spine, drop your head, tuck your tail. Inhaling, looking forward, dropping the belly. Exhale, around the spine. And just keep going with the pace of your own breath, the rhythm of your own breath. And then start to walk your hands forward until you're on your elbows and let your legs slide back so that you're on your hips and your elbows are under your shoulders and your hands and your forearms are straight forward. Spread your fingers nice and wide for Sphinx pose. And just pressing into your hips, pressing into the tops of your feet, imagining yourself in Egypt. being a sphinx. And just notice the sensations that you're getting in the low back here. We're going to stretch this a little before we strengthen with some cobra. Now let yourself come all the way down to the floor, maybe even your forehead to the floor. Bring your hands on either side of your chest. And with your inhale, press into the floor with your hands and your hips, but raise your heart. And maybe you don't come very far, that's okay. This is Cobra pose. Exhale, come back down. Inhale, coming up. Head is in line with the spine. Exhale, coming down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, down. Now lift your hands maybe a half an inch off the floor and inhale up. Of course, you won't come as far, but you really feel it. Exhale down. Inhaling up. Exhale down. And last one. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then push back up to our tabletop and spread your fingers wide. Push into your fingertips and the knuckles of your hands. Start to bring your knees just a little bit off the floor and notice your core engage. And then start to raise your tail all the way to the sky, keeping your knees a little bent, but really pushing away, using your shoulders to push away from the floor. And then straighten one leg, keeping the other bent. And then bend that leg and straighten the other. Starting to pedal out your feet, letting your downward dog be somewhat dynamic. Moving your feet to a position that feels right for you. Your heels don't have to come to the floor. In fact, when they don't come or when they can't come to the floor yet, you have room for growth, which is a good thing. Now shift your weight forward, coming to plank pose, really pushing down into the hands, pushing away from the floor. Keep your head in line with your spine. Engage your core. I always think of RGB when I do these. She could do these for 30 seconds. Surely we can do them for a couple more breaths. One more breath. And then push back into downward dog. Like push away from the floor. Try to open up your shoulders, bringing the crease in your elbow facing the ceiling. And then bring your knees down nice and wide onto the floor and push back to child's pose. So seat to your feet. Maybe forehead comes to the floor. Come up onto your fingertips and walk your fingers just a little bit forward, opening up just a little bit more in the shoulders. And come back up to tabletop. And start to walk your hands forward. Maybe you end up coming down onto your elbows first, but keep your hips above your knees. We're coming to puppy pose or heart pose. And then once you're there, just keep extending forward so that you can bring your forehead to the floor and then keep walking your hands forward. This is a big shoulder opener. We call it heart pose because we're trying to bring the heart towards the floor. It's not going to be on the floor, but we're bringing it towards the floor. Anahatasana. And then slowly, an inch or two at a time, start to bring your arms back. And then come back into tabletop. And then keep walking your hands back until they're almost to your knees. And push yourself up to a standing forward fold. You'll be at the back of your mat here. Let your head hang heavy. Maybe grab opposite elbows. Lift your toes and then put them back down. Shift your weight towards your toes. And back towards your heels. And to your toes. And then as we inhale, bend the knees just a little and come all the way up to standing. Bring your arms around, reach for the sky. And exhale, hands to your heart. And then bring your hands down to your sides, mountain pose. Lifting up through the crown of the head. Bring your shoulders up to your ears and then back down your back. So opening up in the heart. Feeling yourself get a little bit taller here. And start to massage the earth beneath your feet with your toes and your feet. Imagine what that would look like or feel like if you were massaging the floor with your feet. And let the floor massage your feet back. And then inhale, we'll come back to stillness and inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Exhale your arms right back down, but behind you. And maybe you're just bringing your arms back. Maybe you clasp your hands and open your heart. Nice big inhale here. And on your exhale, hinge at the hips forward. Let your head come towards the floor as your hands come towards the ceiling. And just breathing here. And then bend the knees just a little. Bring your hands back to your tail. And then sweep them forward, coming to chair pose. And your chair can be as tall as you'd like, a nice big bar stool, or it can be really low. Do what feels right in your own body. Reaching and stretching, feeling that in your quadriceps. And then forward fold. And then bend into the right knee. Reach up with your left hand up towards the sky. Now, if your right hand doesn't touch the floor, that's okay. Just put that forearm on your knee and reach up to the floor, getting a twist. And then come back down. Other side. Reach your right hand up to the sky, bending into the left knee. And hand is on the floor or forearm on the knee. Allowing yourself to open your heart up to the side. And back down. Inhale your arms all the way back up to the sky, standing all the way up, and then exhale, hands to your heart. And then put your hands on your hips, step your left foot forward, and bend into the left foot. You'll be on the toes. You'll tuck the right toes. We're coming into a high lunge here. So before we raise our arms, bend your back leg a little or a lot. And if that actually feels better, maybe in the low back and that SI joint, then this is your pose. But if it feels just the same, maybe keep that back leg straight. This is a little bit of a balance pose, so it's hard for me to look at y'all. So inhale, your arms up overhead. And exhale. And then as you inhale, straighten your front leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. And then plant the back foot and open your arms to the side, bending into the left knee, warrior two. So we were talking about alignment earlier. The alignment in warrior two should be your front heel, so your left heel aligning with the middle of your right foot. And your right foot could be at a 90-degree angle, or you can bring it in a little. You have to see what feels best in your body. But open up your heart, so your one long line of energy from one set of fingertips to the other. Then inhale, bring your arms up, straighten your legs. Exhale, back down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And then straighten your left leg. We'll come to triangle. So reach, reach, reach over to the left. Hand comes down wherever it lands. That's your pose. Reach up to the sky with your opposite hand, with your right hand. Really try to lengthen along the left side of the body, this part that is crunching up a little bit. See if you can find length there. Doesn't matter how far you come down. It matters that your heart is open and that you've got this space. Then bend into the left knee, coming back to our warrior two. And then let your hands come to your hips, parallel your feet. And then take a nice big inhale, clasp your hands behind your back, or just bring your hands behind you and hinge forward at the hips, letting your head come towards the floor as your hands come towards the ceiling. And then bend just a little in the knees to help yourself come all the way back up to standing. Bring your hands to your tail and unclasp. And we'll come to the other side. So turn your right foot out. Maybe your left foot comes in a little. Coming to warrior two. Stretching the arms out. One long line of energy there. Pushing that right knee towards the pinky toe edge so that your knee is over your ankle and not caving in. Then inhale, straighten legs, bring arms up overhead. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhaling back up. Exhale, warrior two. Then straighten your right leg, reach over to the right, and hand comes down to shin for triangle. Left hand comes up towards the sky. Use that lower hand as leverage to open up in the heart space. Really reaching through those left fingertips and rooting through all four corners of your feet. And then bending into your right knee, come back to warrior two. And then hands to your hips, parallel your feet. We'll come back to center. And bring your heels in so your feet are out 45 degrees. Bending into the knees, coming to goddess pose, holding up the world. And then inhale up to star. Stretch your fingers wide. Exhale down to goddess. Bring your arms back, open the heart. Inhale up to star. Exhale to goddess. Inhale star. Exhale goddess. Now raise the heel of the right foot and put it back down. Raise the heel of the other foot and back down. And then going back and forth with your own breath. Just one at a time. You don't have to go down so far. And then back up to star. Bring your feet back to parallel, hands to your hips. And then hinge forward at the hips. Let your fingertips come to the floor and walk as far away forward as you can with your fingertips without putting too much pressure into them. So you shouldn't feel like you have to put your palms down like maybe you would in a downward dog. But notice how this feels, right? In an ideal world, our downward dog feels a little bit like this, right? We get more weight into our feet and less weight into our hands. And it comes with time and practice. But just letting yourself feel this, right? Like let your head drop like it does in downward dog as you reach forward and push away from the floor. Then walk your hands all the way back in. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up to standing. And then turn your right foot out, come onto the toes of your left foot. We wouldn't want to forget to do our lunge on this side. So try this again where you bend into the back leg, the left leg. And if that feels better, then do that. Otherwise, straighten it out. And inhale your arms up overhead. And exhale. And then inhale, straighten your front leg, the right leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. And then parallel your feet. Come back to center here. And nice big inhale, open up the heart. Exhale, forward. And then let yourself come all the way back up and heel toe your feet until they are hip width distance apart. And we'll come to chair pose. So raise your arms overhead, bending into your knees. Again, you can be as high or as low as you'd like. We'll come directly to warrior three, but a little modification. We'll put our hands at our heart. So bring your hands to your heart and start to shift your weight into your left foot and start to bring the right foot back behind you. And maybe your foot only comes up an inch or two, and that is lovely. But maybe you can let that whole leg come to be parallel to the floor, and your back and your front is parallel to the floor. Push through that right heel as if you're standing on it. And breathe. And then bend into the right knee. Let your left foot come back to the floor. Come up to standing. We call this mountain pose Samastiti. You're the same as the highest. And take a few breaths here. See if you can find the beating of your heart. And then we'll sweep our arms up, coming to chair. And then shift your weight into your right foot. Bring your hands to your heart. And then start to bring that left foot back. And just as high as is right for you. And when you get there, maybe you straighten that right leg, straighten the left, push through the heel of the left foot. And then bend back into the right leg, come back to standing. Inhale, your arms all the way up and overhead. And exhale, hinge forward at the hips, swan dive forward. And then we'll come to seated. So bring one knee down and then the other. Sweep your legs out in front of you. And then bend your knees. We're coming to boat pose. And boat pose has various options. So the first one is to just rock yourself back, holding onto your thighs. Let your shins be parallel to the floor. And this is a beautiful boat. Your second boat is to reach your hands alongside your shins. And then your third boat is to not always available, is to straighten your legs and have your hands out straight there. And breathe here. Good work for our core. One more breath. And then let your feet come back to the floor. Really hug your knees into your chest. Big squeeze. And then extend your legs long. Maybe you bring your blanket and sit on the edge of the blanket as we do these next couple of poses. It helps to keep your spine in its proper alignment. And then bring your right leg in, cross it over the left, and hug your knee into your chest. And maybe this is enough of a twist for you as you just hug the right knee into the left side of your chest. But if it feels comfortable, you can reach behind you with your right hand and look over your right shoulder. And then with your breath, look over the other shoulder. So inhaling to the right, exhaling to the left. Then come back to center. We'll come to cow face pose. So start to pull your right leg over to the left. I'm doing the opposite of what you're doing, but so that the outside of your foot is on the floor. And maybe that's here, and maybe it's here. Every body is different. Sit up nice and tall. And you can stay here in half cow face. But if you love cow face pose, then you can bend the other leg as you lean back on your hands and come to full cow face. So your choice. Just take a moment here, maybe give your feet a little bit of love, even pressing down into the feet and to the floor to open up the chest. And then we come to the cow face arm. So bring your left arm up and let it bend, reaching down past your cervical spine here. Bring your other arm to hold on to that elbow. And then reach that hand back out, the right hand, turn the palm to the back and reach around and up towards the other hand. And it is completely fine if your hands do not meet. Mine do not on this side. Sometimes it's nice to have a strap, but not today. You can grab onto your shirt. And then just very gently undo that bottom arm, the right arm, and then undo the left one. That's Gomukhasana, cow face. And then gently use your hands to unwind your knees. Reach back with your hands, keeping your knees bent here, and just windshield wiper your knees back and forth. And then we'll come to the other side. So extend the right leg, bring the left leg over, hug your knee into your chest. Keep that right leg active. Flex the foot, maybe spread your toes or wiggle them. And then we're coming to a twist. So this may be enough of a twist, but if it feels good, then reach further back behind you, looking over the left shoulder. And then with your breath, look over the other shoulder, going back and forth with each inhale and each exhale. And come back to center. And we will come to cow face on the other side. So bringing the outside of your foot onto the floor, wherever it lands, that's great. So maybe this is your cow face or your half cow face, or maybe it comes back a little further and maybe you bend the other knee. So that knee is upon knee. Sometimes I have to kind of wiggle into this a little bit, pushing up on my hands. Press into your feet or into the floor on one side if you're in half cow face. And then bring your right arm up and let it bend. Bring the other hand up to help that elbow come further up. Shouldn't be pushing your head forward, so try to keep your head nice and tall. Crown of your head is towards the ceiling. And then take the other arm, the left hand, palm towards the back, and reach over to the side and maybe up. And just notice how this side might be different than the other. And why is this called cow face? I'm sure you're wondering. I think the right elbow is the top ear and the left elbow is the other ear, as if it's kind of a little bit cockeyed. And then I think the knees are meant to be the lips. So it is, Gomukhasana. Gently, gently, gently bring your left hand down and right hand down. And then lean back onto your hands to release your legs. Let them come out nice and long. Push through the heels of the feet. Push into the palms of the hands. Open the heart. Spread the toes. And then we will come to our backs. So if it feels good to you to roll out your spine, then do so. Otherwise, you can just gently come on to your back, bending your knees. And that's where we will meet. So bend your knees, reach your hands towards your heels, and you should just be able to brush the back of your heels. And then let your hands, the palms of your hands, come to the floor. Now really press in your feet into the floor, your toes, your heels, really feeling that your feet are engaging with the floor. And then inhale, lift your hips up to the sky. Bridge pose. Exhale, come down slowly, one vertebra at a time. And then inhale, hips come up. Exhale, come all the way down. Inhale up, exhale down. Now inhale up, and we'll stay this time. See if you can wiggle your shoulder blades a little closer to each other so that you can clasp your hands behind your back and push them into the floor, opening up the heart a little bit more and lifting the hips a little bit more. And staying here for a couple of breaths. Now push into your toes as if you're pushing away. And notice your feet won't really move, but just pushing away a little bit. And then push into your heels as if you're dragging your heels towards your body. Maybe inhale, pushing away. Exhale, dragging your heels toward you. One more time. Inhale, push away. Exhale, drag them toward you. And then unclasp your hands, wiggle your shoulders out. And on your next exhale, come all the way down to the floor. And then cross your right leg over the left. Bring your arms out to a T and let your legs fall to the left. Maybe taking your left hand on right thigh and maybe looking over your right shoulder. And just breathing here, noticing where you might be holding some tension and seeing what you can do to let that go. And then bring your knees back to center. Uncross your legs. Bring your arms back to a T. Cross the left leg over the right and let your knees fall over to the right. Holding on to left thigh with right hand, gazing out over the left fingertips. And bring your knees back to center. Uncross your legs. And then bring your knees into your chest. And push them around in a great big circle with your hands. And then go the other direction. And then we'll come to happy baby. So bring your knees wide, and you can either hold on behind your thighs or you can reach to the sides of your feet, kind of pulling knees towards your armpits. And maybe your happy baby likes to rock side to side. Ananda Balasana is this pose. Balasana is actually child's pose, but when you put in Ananda, which is blissful, it becomes a happy baby. Maybe you even straighten one leg and the other, your choice. This is our last pose before we go into our Shavasana, our final resting pose. And so now is a good time if you want to put on any layers, if you want to put your socks on or grab a blanket, you can do that. Other alternatives are to take your blanket and roll it up under your knees or under your head, or neither. See what feels good in your body. And then once you have found the perfect Shavasana for you, start to drop in. Try rocking your head side to side just a couple of times. Loosen your jaw. Release in the shoulders, maybe wiggling them out a little, making sure you find a good comfortable spot for them. Soften through the heart space and the belly. Relax your hips and let your arms and your legs be heavy. If you're wearing glasses, maybe you will take them off. There's nothing you need to see here. And we'll stay here for a few minutes of stillness and silence. Start to bring your awareness back into your body, wiggling your fingers and your toes, circling your wrists and your ankles. And then take a full body stretch, reaching your arms overhead, stretching through the fingertips, pushing through the heels of the feet. And then bend your knees and let yourself roll to the side. And then push yourself back up to seated. And take a nice big inhale as your arms come up towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, arms come up. And then exhale, hands come to your forehead as a reminder of kind thoughts to your lips for kind speech, to your heart for kind intentions. And just as we started, the light in me honors and bows to the light in you. Namaste.